I hit 1,000 subscribers a while ago. We made a special video. Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Decker Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. It's that time of year again, April 20th, National Weed Day. And Hitler's birthday. But pot is much more entertaining.
You may remember last year I reviewed Evil Bong 1 and 2, horror movies with a heavy emphasis on marijuana and fluctuating levels of production quality.
And since I've already reviewed Evil Bong 3, and Saturday is not my normal upload date, today I intend to review a very short, The Great Nug and its sequel, The Tirshahms.
Uploaded to YouTube by Taupé Frost Productions in 2009, The Great Nug is a 5-minute long...
Wait a minute, 5 minutes long? Well, screw the intro, the video is almost over. Let's take a look at The Great Nug before it's too late.
We open to Neil, Matt, and Veronica getting in touch with Mother Nature whilst stoned off their asses. Neil suddenly explodes into exposition, covering all the important bases of this story.
The Great Nug is the one individual pot plant that gives all other weed the ability to make you stoned. It was generated and nurtured by a race of creatures called the Tirshahms.
That's kind of a cool folk legendy thing, Neil.
No, Matt, it's real.
I have to admit, if the story were real, I'd expect his visual aids to show the Great Nug looking more like an actual pot plant. I know it's hard to have a low-budget film if you spend all the money on bail, but still.
He convinces them to hold hands to form a circle, or triangle, to feel the power of the Great Nug itself.
I'm still more respectful to religion than anything by faith films.
Suddenly they are attacked by confusing editing and end up captured by the Tirshahms themselves, who look, honestly, very damn good.
Yeah, it's obviously guys painted green with sheets over their heads, but honestly, they do look better than some of the so-called aliens from the original Star Trek series.
The Tirshahms mean to enslave the trio with the power of the Nug, but there is one slight problem.
How do you not know that we've been smoking it for fun since before recorded history?
Yeah, have you been under a rock?
You will not disrespect our ways!
As Glownon realizes they're telling the truth, he pulls a complete 180, ordering the destruction of the Great Nug.
You know, I'm actually kind of enjoying this. This short has better acting than some of the movies I've reviewed.
The three of them escape, steal the Nug, and make it back to civilization, but their desire for the truth leads to a parody of the Da Vinci Code.
Jesus didn't drink wine or break bread at the Last Supper, man. He smoked a fatty.
The end! Well, of The Great Nug, but there was a sequel made 3 years later, again straight to YouTube, and again 5 minutes long. So let's waste no time and see what the Tirshahms have in store for us.
Immediately, it's obvious that the cinematography is much improved, and as it opens, it takes a few seconds to establish basic character traits. This is interrupted by a mysterious phone call from a restricted number.
Veronica! This is Ugnar. We know where your homes are, and we're coming to get the Great Nug.
Before you ask, how did they get a cell phone, and when did they learn their cell phone number, remember, it has been 3 years.
Neil is too stoned to know what's going on, so Matt and Veronica summarize the first part in about 15 seconds. That doesn't work, so they elaborate.
You got spray cheese afterwards.
Spray cheese day. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's safe to say the writing is much improved in part 2 already.
Now back in action, Neil takes over as the brains of the operation, bringing them to the Malminist Church, led by Father Graham, played by Christopher Sanders.
Shall worship the greatness of saltines and of ketchup forevermore! And beware the evils of leap year!
Who does a fine job of upstaging the rest of the cast. Though, I must say, I'm liking all the actors of these productions. They do seem to really give a damn, despite the fact that it's obviously very low budget. Which is more than I can say for most Asylum actors.
The trio bring him offerings to allow them access to the archives because the Malmonists evidently have articles recording Christ's pot use and information about how to defeat the Tirshahms.
How to ward off Tirshahms. Yeah! I haven't read it all yet, but it says in this caption...
Yes?
That... What does it say?
Unfortunately for them, the Malvinists also are in cahoots with the Tirshahms, and quite proficient with plastic weaponry. They move to run, but Matt is captured, whom happens to be carrying the Great Nug with him.
Unar, Glona, get to the church now.
I've never seen a man bite into a cracker so malevolently.
His friends return, and Veronica beats the priest's ass, knocking him into conveniently stacked cardboard boxes, but before they can escape, the Tirshahms arrive. However, Neil breaks out the Malmonist Bible just in time to read how to defeat them.
All humans in the room are granted infallibility if anyone admits they have a crush on someone else in the room.
What? That is beyond stupid, and that actually says the word crush.
It says crush right there.
Well, it is the New American translation. The original Greek actually says, has the hots for.
Matt is just about to admit the obvious to Veronica, but before he can...
Ulgar, I've always had a crush on you.
Hey, if it works for Kirk, let's just accept Neil's love of green people.
Thus the story ends with Matt and Veronica together at last, and the Tirshahms held at bay by Neil's unique tastes.
And it's a pretty conclusive ending. I mean, what else could possibly threaten the Great Nug? Aliens? I probably shouldn't have said that. Well, that was the Great Nug and the Tirshahms, and it's entertaining.
It's a pair of web shorts, which is not my usual area, but despite this, the production did take place in LA, with a cast of actors whom have their own IMDb pages, which is a lot more than I can say for myself, and it's actually an intriguing blend of low-budget, silly storytelling and pretty high-quality acting. The concept of the story is somewhat basic, but what sells it are the Tirshahms, because as simple of materials they had to work with, the acting and pretty damn good makeup makes them own the scenes. Overall, I can't give this a real 1 to 5 star rating, as being a web short, it has a much different scale to work from. Nevertheless, what I can say is that I recommend it to anyone who enjoys silly independent film and has 10 minutes to spare.
Damn, now it looks like I'm going to have to track down more marijuana-themed movies to review in the future. I dug my own grave with that one. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado, and remember, don't post about how stoned you get today on Facebook. The police can see that.
Spray cheese day! Yeah.
Hey everyone, I hope you liked the special review for today, and I hope that this is a good enough 1,000 subscriber special. Of course, I wanted to get this out sooner, and I had a much different idea of how I was going to do it, but things obviously didn't work out. You really itched that noisily, Tara. Okay. But yeah, my original concept was actually to go to a sandwich shop, really go, with camera in hand, someone filming me, and order 1,000 subs. And just get honest reactions that way. And it was a nice idea in my head. I was hoping I could pull it off well, but we'll never find out because, hey, the small town I moved to doesn't have a sandwich shop. It's kind of interesting. But that out of the way, after searching every area around here and seeing that there's nowhere that I can really get to in less than 50 miles that has a sandwich shop. Well, probably maybe less than 50 miles, maybe around 15 miles, but for me on my own without a car, that's not exactly feasible. So, got a quick review in there. I'm sure that people would actually prefer that, given the two options. Watch me order sandwiches or get a quick review. But since this is so late, there's also other things I was thinking of doing, and I'd like to get that out here, because as I have gone up and up in subscribers, and I really appreciate that, there are people at Manic Expression who I have worked with in the past, and they do really good work, and they're a little confused as to why I'm the one that seems to have gone with this amount of subscribers, and they still... most of them have been doing their shows longer than me, and they're nowhere near 1,000 yet. But I'm just working off the top of my head here, so I'm obviously not going to get everyone. I haven't researched this. It's just basically who I work with, who I like, who shows I like, and who I think really deserves more subscribers, and people who generally have less than me, which is quite a lot, actually. Strangely enough. But anyway, top of the list, I have to mention that long-haired creepy guy. You know him, I hope you love him, and he has been going at it longer than I have, and he's got a couple hundred subscribers. I understand that what he reviews is generally not everyone's cup of tea, but he does a very good job at it, and it's genuinely interesting. So for reviews that are of the less orthodox nature, I highly recommend that long-haired creepy guy. Now, if you are interested in more traditional reviews, but of a lot of newer films, and a very open range that they work with, of course, Tim Deanna is a great personality to look for that. He does a review show, and he also does podcasts with Something Cinematic and discussing movies that just came out. It's kind of like a reaction, except not so one-sided in opinion, because he usually gets a lot more people on the show. So, Tim Deanna, with Tim Deanna the Reviews and Something Cinematic and all of that, he's a very entertaining guy, and I highly recommend him. And last one I can think of off the top of my head would be Big Black Hat Man. He reviews westerns, he has Western Thought, he has a general Western-themed show, as well as Behind the Webcam, where he just interviews other people on the internet who do shows similar to the ones I and him do, and Tim and Creepy and all of us. He just kind of does an interview show as a character, and that's very interesting, and he has a good production value to what he does. No big flying explosions or everything, but a very good quality camera and microphone, and a lot of times that's really hard to find with some independent internet personalities, as it were. Now, while his show doesn't exactly cover something that I'm explicitly interested in, with westerns, he himself does give an entertaining performance, and his camera is good, his audio is good. He is entertaining to watch and pleasant to watch. And the thing that kind of bothers me is when I see him put something up, usually it gets so few views, and I'm looking at that like, well, this really deserves to have a wider audience. So, in case you're interested and you just want to check out something new, check out Big Black Hat Man. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Aside from them, the only other one you've probably seen already in my reviews is James, who is sort of the head of Manic Expression. He does Stop the Hate, and it's a very nice series, just sort of breaking down reasons why people dislike certain things, finding if they're valid or not, and usually it's more themed, of course, towards just mellowing out and just taking a breather and not being so virulent towards everything, and it's rather nice, in my opinion, so good to check that out. It's completely different than all of the other productions that I've just talked about with reviews and talking about movies and this. He does talk about movies a little, but not really in the same way that most reviewers go into it, finding something to make fun of, or complaining about this, complaining about that. He's just sort of, everyone, chill. And that's something that I appreciate. It's strangely not very common on the internet, so it's good to see. And other than all of them that you have probably seen in my reviews at some point, if you have watched every single video that I've made, there's a few others from Manic Expression I can think of. Hedonistic Actor, very entertaining guy. Paradise and Fairies talks about video games and half-naked anime women. For some reason, I find myself watching his show more often than not. And now I'm thinking that I probably should have written down a bunch of names, because working off of the top of my head isn't working out too well. There's a ton of people over at Manic Expression, and a lot of them there's too many people for me to watch. I don't know too well everybody, but just... Yes, Tara. Is that so? You want me to tell people to subscribe to you? No? You want me to put you down? Nah, okay. She was vocal until she gets on camera. Maybe that's what she wanted. But thank you all for all the subscribers, and, well, yeah, thanking my subscribers for subscribing. Generally, most people watching this have, or you haven't yet, in which case you probably should, because then that thanks is for you. If you don't subscribe, then you get no thanks. And here's hoping for the next 1,000, or 100,000 subscribers. Yes. Of course, it's going to be hard to order 100,000 subs.